Greetings from the One Health Commission. I'm so thrilled to welcome you guys down in Columbia to the One Health Arena, and I'm so excited to hear about the symposium and the workshop that you guys are having. So One Health Day was started back in 2016. It's been celebrated now. This is the third year, and you guys are helping us with that, so thank you very much for that. Congratulations to the organizers for putting this symposium together. I'm very anxious to hear the report for how many veterinarians and physicians and nurses and chemists and anthropologists and business people showed up at this symposium. So congratulations for your occasion there, and thanks for letting me be part of it. I hope that you can see this map. Give it a second, maybe it'll tune in here. Maybe not. This is the map of events happening all over the world for One Health Day, and I'm going to be excited to put a pin in the map for Colombia. Excuse me. So one of the really important messages I'd like to share with you today is that the collaborations that we need across professions to really make One Health the default way of doing business are not just magically going to happen in our current systems, our silos. We're going to have to create relationships to start those collaborations, and they're not going to magically happen either, because we never get to work with each other or talk to each other directly unless we deliberately create occasions to come together like you guys are doing today. So I hope you'll take advantage of the opportunity to meet people in other professions, especially people that you might be able to engage with in your work every day. This whole One Health movement probably started in the 90s, coming out of the ecology arena. The conservation medicine people, the ecologists started realizing we needed to work together. And then influenza and SARS and Nipah kind of hit us all over the head. The veterinarians picked it up and started trying to make noise about us needing to work together. And then the human domain came on board when horrible things like Ebola started happening. And so we're now talking very much about One Health and working together across professions. But I'd like to bring a few ideas to you about how One Health is about more than just zoonotic diseases, although that's a very huge and driving force for this One Health conversation. So as I mentioned, it probably started, we started trying to return to this holistic way of thinking after getting into our silos from our specialties. We need our specialties. They're wonderful. We've learned a lot from them, but we've kind of lost the ability to work together. So the ecologists started calling for this back in the 90s. And one of the examples of things that we really need to be working on is antimicrobial resistance. It's a quintessential One Health issue. We all know that bacteria are evolving normally, naturally, all the time anyway, but it's quite possible that we as humans have sped that up a bit because of our sometimes non-judicious use of antibiotics, to the point that now we're struggling and we're concerned about moving into a post-antimicrobial era. So that's just one example. In fact, one of the things that we're just starting to wrap our brains around on the antimicrobial resistance front is the antimicrobial resistant organisms in our environment. I hope you can see this slide. I'm having a hard time seeing it myself, but we're starting to see antimicrobial resistant organisms in marine mammals in the middle of the ocean who've never been given any antibiotics. And we think that's because of the wastewater that washes into our oceans. We're definitely seeing it in our soils now, and it can impact our plants. And we know these antimicrobial resistant organisms can actually be taken up into the plants. So it's a huge issue we're going to have to really come together, pull together, work together across professions to address. So one of the other arenas for our need to work together is food safety and security. I don't have to roll off the litany of things there. In fact, I'm going to run short of time, so I'm going to go kind of fast here. Animals as sentinels. Cats were sentinels for some of the things we were being exposed in our environment to, things like polybrominated diphenyl ethers and perfluoroalkyl substances, which are both endocrine disruptors and have We kind of realized that when we started seeing hyperthyroid cats. In fact, there's actually been work now to show that this is showing up in humans, and there are some hypotheses that it could be contributing to the childhood obesity epidemic. We've got to work together on issues like this. Comparative medicine and translational research. This glioblastoma brain tumor is exactly the same in dogs as it is in humans. If we could find more naturally occurring cancer processes like this in dogs and other animals, and then apply that to human health, it would help both the animals and the humans. So we've got to work together in those areas too. Disaster preparedness and response. Here in the States, we've been hit really hard recently. I hope you guys have been spared. In South America, haven't heard a whole lot about hurricanes there recently, but we learned back in 2005 from Katrina, don't show up without pet carriers. So it's very gratifying now to start seeing our first responders and disaster preparedness teams actually prepare themselves in a One Health way and show up prepared and make plans for what to do with the animals in a disaster. Human-animal bond is a huge part of an area of our conversation for One Health, not just for companion animals, which we all know can be quite beneficial to humans and animals alike, but also the large animal human-animal bond for the farmers back in the early 2000s when we were seeing the BSE outbreaks and many herds had to be destroyed. We had farmers committing suicide because herds that they had spent their entire lives breeding up were having to be destroyed. So this bond is very powerful, and it's a part of the conversation that we need to be having in the One Health space. Vector-borne diseases. Just the litany goes on, especially things like Zika, which I know that you guys are quite familiar with, and things like Bartonella, which are just emerging now to be a more significant pathogen in humans than had been previously thought. So what are we to do? What can we do about being in our silos and needing to work together? Well, I'd like to just share a little bit with you about what the Commission's doing. I hope you can get involved. There are a lot of opportunities to get involved, not just with the Commission, but other One Health arenas, or start your own One Health thing going on right there in your area, because there's so much work to be done to help us really join hands and make One Health the default way of doing business. So we have action teams. One of them is an education task force. We know it's important to take One Health education not just into our professional curricula for vet students and med students and nursing students and physicians assistant students, but also to undergrads and even down lower to K through 12. To much earlier ages to teach about One Health and One Health issues. So this team is working on ways to do that. One of the things we also educate about, or have a team that's working on to educate about, is bat rabies. We realized that nobody was touching children and parents not to touch a bat, or that bats could carry rabies. And if they had a bad exposure, to please tell some health professional. Most of the deaths to bat rabies happen because people didn't know to be concerned. So I'm very proud this team is working to find ways to get these posters that you see on the screen here, to get them in front of children and get this information in front of children and parents. I just invite you to dream the future with me. If we don't talk about and dream the way things could be with us out of our silos and actually interacting across professions, it's never going to happen. So it's really up to us, those of us who get it about One Health, and I appreciate so much you guys doing this symposium. Thank you again for letting me be part of it, and have a great symposium today, and welcome to the One Health community.